With a new season about to get started, it's time to start looking forward to the 2025 NBA Draft. This is my first ranking of my top 14 players in this draft class. Uh, Positive that this is going to be changing throughout the season, but at the moment, this is who I'm looking at. So stay tuned with Plus Basketball over the next handful of months and see how this all ends up playing out. But with that being said, let's go ahead and get started. My number one player right now, and I don't really see this changing, is going to be Cooper Flagg. He can do a little bit of everything. I think most people are probably pretty familiar with him at this point. But where he really stands out is on defense. I'm pretty confident that in his freshman year at Duke, he's going to be able to guard really 1 through 5. After he gets to the NBA, I think that'll change. Probably something closer to the majority of 3s and 4s, also being able to handle a lot of 2s and 5s. But all in all, he's got great athleticism, great feel for the game. Overall, an awesome draft prospect. And like I said, I would be pretty surprised if he didn't finish the season as my number one, but I guess we'll see. My number 2 player at the moment is Ace Bailey. A lot of people seem to be kind of losing faith in him as we get closer to the season. But with the physical tools, the athleticism, the skill that he has, I think it's a pretty easy number 2 at this point. We'll see how this translates over. A lot of people don't like his shot selection, but being this high of a talent in high school, you're going to force bad shots, so I don't really think too much of that at the moment. His full game reminds me a lot of Paul George. I know that that's kind of a lazy comparison for big wings, but I don't know. I think Ace Bailey's a really fluid wing, a really good athlete. He can score from all 3 levels. The defense, he showed flashes in high school, but I think that's the biggest concern for him entering his freshman year, but we'll see how it pans out throughout the season. My number 3 player is Nolan Traore. In my mind, I think that he's the best on-ball initiator in this class. Good size. He'll need to add a little bit more weight and strength to carry over this productivity, but I don't know. I love the flashes he's shown. He's had some massive games. He scores the ball with ease. He's got really good vision and playmaking. I think that he fits the mold of kind of a prototypical point guard in today's NBA. And I think his upside as a scorer, especially on ball, is super promising, super intriguing. He's been productive overseas for quite a while now. And if he can continue building on this, I think that him going with somewhere within the top 5 seems pretty likely, honestly. We'll see how things continue to pan out, see if he can continue to improve. But I love the upside. He's pretty safe at number 3 for me at the moment. My number 4 player is VJ Edgecombe. He really caught eyes whenever he played for Bahamas in FIBA this past summer, but he is just a freak athlete. I like his jump shooting. Really good two-way player along the perimeter. He reminds me a lot of Victor Oladipo while he was playing at Indiana. If you guys remember him, he was just a menace defensively. I think VJ can follow a real similar path to that. I do like the offensive upside. A lot of that stems from the athleticism, but he makes quick decisions. He's super aggressive on both ends of the floor. I love the two-way versatility, but, the long-term potential is just through the roof with a guy like this. And I think he's somewhat of a safe bet to reach his potential within the first, 3 or 4 years of his career. My number 5 player is Dylan Harper. He's going to be teaming up with Ace Bailey at Rutgers this year. A ton of people have him as high as number 2. I would not be surprised at all if that's where he ends up after the season. He's got great size, really good athlete vertically and laterally. He moves super fluid, has really good passing vision. Uh, all in all, I am a huge fan, a big time believer in him. The 4 guys I have ahead of him at the moment, I just believe in them a little bit more, but he's going to get a lot of freedom in his freshman year. I think that that's going to play out super well for him, help him continue climbing up draft boards throughout the season. And like I said, if he ends up around number 2 by the end of the year, I would not be surprised at all. My number 6 player at the moment is Trey Johnson. I love his offensive upside. I think that he's one of the better shooters in this class, both off the dribble and from catch and shoots. Throughout his senior year, he really took a step in playmaking. I don't think that he'll ever really be like a true point guard or anything like that, but having him as a secondary creator when needed, I think could be super helpful. All in all, I think he's going to develop into a really nice spark plug for NBA offenses. I think his upside is really promising, but, he's got a real slender frame. He's going to need to add weight, get a little stronger, but his ability to score from the outside, I think, is going to be pretty effective regardless and should really make noise throughout his freshman year at Texas. My number 7 player is Rocco Zakarski. He's maybe the best defensive anchor prospect in this class. He's not super mobile, really on either end of the floor, but what he does do a fantastic job of is coming out of screens or switches, whatever it may be, and dropping extremely hard to the rim. He does a great job of catching up with defenders, or opponents, I should say, who get past him with the ball in their hands and being able to meet them at the rim. That's going to be really important whenever he gets to the NBA, because he's not going to be able to keep up with smaller opponents, but his explosiveness on retreats, I think, is really promising, and he's got fantastic hand-eye coordination that's easy to see whenever he contests these shots at the rim. Offensive game, still working on that. Not a great shooter, but he does finish plays well around the rim. But just purely looking at this guy as a defender, I think we'll find him a place real high up in the 2025 draft. My number 8 player is going to be Common Maluak. He's a super explosive big man with great size and length. He is still a little bit raw, but coming into his freshman year, he kind of reminds me a little bit of Joel Embiid whenever he came to Kansas for his freshman year. Maluak is a natural defender on the inside. He does a great job of getting to his position. He works hard. He's really physical. The jump shot, honestly, has shown flashes. I'm not a big-time believer for that being a really impressive tool throughout his freshman year, but there's definitely things to work on that makes you believe that this could improve, and if it does, he could be one of the more valuable players from this entire draft. My number 9 player is going to be Ian Jackson. He does a little bit of everything. He's got really good feel. He's an impressive athlete in terms of laterally and vertically. I could see him developing into a starting level off guard, probably a 2 more than a 1 at the next level. But he's really impressive, has awesome feel. He doesn't really make mistakes like you just saw in that highlight. Whenever there's chaos going on, he finds open spots like it's nothing to him. I've been really impressed with him. Going to North Carolina, he should be able to learn from some of those older players. So the productivity may not be awesome in his freshman year, but I think he'll show enough flashes to solidify himself somewhere within the lottery. My number 10 player is Dink Pate. He's got awesome size for a lead guard, good vision, good feel for the game. I think he's a pretty versatile scorer, but last season, the Ignite really wasn't good for hardly anybody. So I think this upcoming season, going to a new team, having a fresh start, I think is going to be really helpful for him. I think the big picture for this season on him is how efficiently he can score. Really, from all three levels, he's going to need to improve a little bit, but the tools and feel and the flashes of moves that we saw from him in terms of scoring, I think is super promising. That has him in my top 10 at the moment. My number 11 player is Noah Asingay. His jumper especially has really improved recently. He's a big wing / forward, so really the sky's the limit for a guy like this. All in all, against tougher competition, he's a little streaky. He did just have an awesome game going up against the Portland Trail Blazers in a preseason matchup. So maybe this is the year where he really takes another leap, kind of solidifies himself as a sure thing. But I don't know. Well, he's so skinny, it makes me a little nervous, a little concerned about what position he would primarily serve as in the NBA. But with all the tools, 11 may be kind of a low point for him as the season progresses, but I'm a fan, and we'll just have to see how the season plays out for him. My number 12 player is Derek Queen. He is a super smart player. He's very patient when he's playing in the post. He has awesome footwork, a very fluid mover. He's not a great vertical athlete, but he does a good job defending in the post just by strength. He works really hard to push his opponents off of their spots, makes their offense really uncomfortable. I also love his ability as a passer. He wasn't really the primary initiator at Montverde, to no surprise, but with his back to the basket, he throws cross-court passes that I think are just kind of mind-blowing. He really has impressed me. Coming into his freshman year, he has lost some weight, so we'll see if that changes the play style at all, but all in all, I'm super impressed with him. Think that he can be an awesome fit for almost any team in the NBA. My number 13 player is Ben Seraph. He's a real versatile scorer, super effective at all three levels. He's got good size, but also has a pretty nice handle that he can get pretty creative with. This helps him drive, whether he's getting to spots to score himself or just getting into easier positions to throw passes. He's got really good vision, awesome all-around feel for the game. Not, an awesome athlete, doesn't really elevate super high, but a really clean basketball player. I think a lot of upside and could be one of the better role players that comes out of this draft class in the long run. My number 14 player and the last guy I'll talk about today is Drake Powell. He's going to be teaming up with Ian Jackson on that loaded North Carolina roster. I think outside of Cooper Flagg and possibly VJ Edgecombe, I think that he has the highest two-way upside of anybody in this draft class. He's a freak athlete. He works extremely hard on both ends of the court. I'm not sure how much scoring he's going to be able to do this season at North Carolina, but I'm sure that we're going to see flashes from him that NBA teams are going to be super interested in. I think he has a super wide draft range at the moment, anywhere from as high as the top 10 all the way till the end of the first, maybe even early in the second. But I believe in the upside, and whether or not we get to see a lot of this finished product as a freshman, I think the flashes are going to be a little bit overwhelming and really skyrocket him up draft boards as the season goes forward. That's going to wrap up the first look at my top 14 players in the 2025 NBA draft. Be sure to follow Plus Basketball on Twitter and visit our website. We have a lot more content on the website. But with that being said, this is Jace. Thanks for watching Plus Basketball.